Anthony Fantano did a Neighborhood Gods Unlimited review. I haven't heard it yet. Um, I've through the Discord reaction to it, I've seen that there's a few criticisms in it. So I'm psychologically, nervous system wise prepared for that. And I have not watched it myself at all. So I'm really about to raw dog this Fantano review. I'm prepared for it to be somewhat challenging to listen to potentially in some places. Shout out to him for doing it. Like I was saying when I talked to Professor Sky, it's a little different now being in closer proximity with some of those hip hop YouTube discourse folks. So I certainly didn't put out this album with a lot of confidence that folks who I rub elbows with on the internet were going to use their platforms to review it, since the relationship is more friendly now than just being a critic and performer type relationship. But he reviewed it. I'm guessing he gave his honest thoughts, since there's some criticisms in it. And let's just see what he had to say. You would shit yourself doing this in front of people, Catboy? Well, yeah, this is a very emotionally brave thing I'm about to do. So, you know, if you ever needed any inspiration for bravery, just check me out listening to this guy say some good and not bad things about a project that I'm very sensitive about. All right, here it goes.
Ha, ha. Hi, everyone. Hothany Hotano here.
Why was he doing a robot?
You're the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new open mic Eagle.
If you've never seen him in person, understand he's disarmingly tall. You should know that about him. He's taller than you think he is. If you ever thought about wanting to fight him, don't, because he's tall and he lifts weights. He could hit you with an overhand smash that'll make you have a bad day.
Album, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. Here we have a new LP from veteran underground rapper.
I am a veteran.
Singer.
No JPEG.
Songwriter, Comedy Mind, streamer.
Comedy Mind? I haven't heard that one yet. I'm going to use it.
Commentator, a creator of many stripes, Mr. Open Mike Eagle. We are now a few projects deep into what I guess you could say is like the latest era of his lengthy career. Anybody who is trying to get...
It is lengthy. I was trying to like play off the length of it when the last album came out and people were talking about how long my career was. But like, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is long. I put out my first project in 2009. That was a long time ago. So yeah. And this is my 10th album. Doobie Chow said it's girthy. That's HG. That's HG business. This is not HD. These are not HG hours. But this is my 10th album. Do you feel that those are eras or just projects? Oh, there's hella eras. But almost every project itself is an era. Anyway, back to Fantano.
Into this man's music should most definitely go back to classics like Dark Comedy as well as Brick Body Kids. Great albums that were a part of a really impressive run for him creatively. But 2020's Anime Trauma...
Oh yeah, he didn't like this one. I remember he didn't like this one.
...and Divorce was a bit of a turning point for Mike. Not only in terms of laying out some pretty devastating changes his life was going through at the time, but this album also marked a new independent pathway for him, releasing music through his Auto Reverse label.
I would say that the first project that struck forward in that independent pathway was What Happens When I Try to Relax. I would say that one precedes this, not just in chronology, but in that was the first one I really put all my chips in, and on starting my Auto Reverse record label and seeing what that was like. I felt pretty confident in it by the time I got around to release Anime Trauma Divorce,
which he has been rocking with to this day. Then in 2022, he hit us with Component System with the Auto Reverse, which comparatively was a much more raw and lively project. A little
lively.
A little messy, a little all
like Newport cigarettes.
All over the place. Certainly not his most high fidelity record so far, but these are characteristics of the record that were no doubt intentional, especially with this figure on the front cover that has this tape deck amp combo unit on his head, which I think is kind of the perfect way to signal to your fans that they're about to embark on this kind of crazy mixtape-esque experience. Also on this LP, while the general mood was more lighthearted, Mike Mike was digging deeper into this like more diaristic, heady brand of songwriting, sometimes going through the minutia of his creative evolution and artistic process, like on I
Diaristic made me think of diarrhea for some reason. I was like, that's cold, but that's not what he meant.
Tired, then I changed my mind. And there were deeper moments which attributed huge influences on his creativity, like MF Doom on the track for Doom. There were also some cuts on this thing that saw Mike getting a bit meta in a kooky way, such as on the credits interlude, as well as with the CD-only bonus track. And this project was followed by the much shorter Another Triumph of Ghetto Engineering, which, given the rapping, the writing, the production...
That's my mama's hand, god damn it.
On that, and the title of it tying into a reference to the previous album. It felt like a decent series of afterthoughts for Auto Reverse. And while Neighborhood Gods does feel like a different project with a different direction, Open Mike Eagle is still seemingly working through this chapter of his career with this tape deck head, releasing his music through Auto Reverse again, and assembling projects here that feel just a bit more homespun and casual. Mike...
Casual? I don't know about casual. I don't know about casual.
Is also taking on more production duties in the credits of this album as well, though that doesn't seem to have altered the sort of production that you would normally hear on an Open Mike Eagle album, be it these somewhat nerdy, left field, polite, sometimes jazzy and sample-heavy instrumentals. So they're definitely...
Do I like polite instrumentals? Is that something about me that I'm going to learn right now that I like? My man Grant, remember, he said I like beats that sound like Zelda towns. Do I gravitate towards a polite beat? I don't know. That's something to chew on. I'm gonna have to actually think about that.
Are elements of consistency this record shares with Open Mike Eagle's most recent work. And I would say there's actually even a greater meta-awareness creatively going on here. In the opening few seconds of the album, where you hear like this promotional drop of dark comedy television.
There's something so funny about that I'm not going to say right now. I have to figure out the best time to tell this secret, but it's so funny. Okay, never mind. Back to this.
Which apparently is supposed to be in reference to a concept Mike has had in his mind for a while now, about a cable network that can only afford to be on 1 hour per week. So it has to get all of its shows out in that time frame. So in many ways, the tracks on this album are not merely just songs, but programs, shorts, scenes, motifs. 38 minutes of cohesive programming, I guess. And these...
that I guess was ice cold. I guess.
Slate of shows on dark comedy television through this project are, at least during this season, moody, contemplative, with the occasional joke and touch of self-effacing humor for a good measure. With the opening track, which is...
No, I have not watched this El Rito. This is my first time seeing it.
The theme of the whole record, Woke Up Knowing Everything. Mike is doing this whole routine around self-awareness and self-understanding when it comes to your life path and your traumas and your behaviors. It's a track that's searching for knowledge, searching for understanding, very much an it all makes sense moment, especially with bars like people looking for a larger plot, awaiting fades in the barbershop, because if your voice ain't as loud as his, maybe he knows
come
where
on,
the
sing
power
it.
is.
Sing it,
maybe
Anthony.
He knows why the rent is high.
Sing it.
It's all because the moon is in Gemini and
And
Mercury's in the
Gatorade.
Gatorade. I'm just trying to get a taper fade, which is witty, observational, funny, and I love how it all kind of circles back to getting a haircut. But sonically and vocally, this is also a very gentle start to an Open Mike Eagle.
I guess that's right. It is gentle. I do agree it's gentle, especially because I use the lower register melodic delivery on the verses for that one. So it is, but I wanted it to be inviting, you're sitting down to start a conversation with somebody,
Album, his half-sung, half-rapped verses ride out over these heavenly sample chops, and it's just...
Shout out to K-Night 13 on the beat.
A very sweet and serene start to the whole thing. The following track, Me and Aquil Stealing Stuff from Work, while it is...
It's Aquil, by the way. Not that I would expect him to know that, but it's going to drive me crazy hearing him say Aquil.
A bit punchier, more energetic. It's still a pretty chill cut overall. And yeah, on the surface, it is very much about stealing from a shoe store that you're working at. But digging deeper, this song is also very much about low-wage apathy, leading a life and...
Shoe shoe merchants of the world unite.
An existence that is mundane and honestly just not very gratifying. And while the energy of this track, again, is still subtle, the jokes very much hit. The topic of contraband, the plug has bags of me, switches over into the spiritual with lots of jazz samples, over which Open Mike kind of waxes poetic about places his intelligence has took him over the years, especially in his youth.
That was just one part. That was just one bar. Actually, I guess it was like 4 bars about when my first grade teacher took me to the spelling bee. I thought that was so kind of her. It impacted my life that she saw that much potential in me, that after her entire day of teaching, she volunteered to pick me up and take me to the district spelling bee because I had won the school spelling bee, even though I lost. That was an impactful thing for me. But there's only like 4 bars of the song. The rest of it are completely not about that.
Eventually fast forwarding deeper into the song and likening himself to a drug.
Wait, that's like another true thing that happened on the album. It's like 5 or 6 very true things. That was another one.
A product that is to be sold and marketed, most likely drawing a connection that his perceptiveness of words that he showcased.
Sardonic Sage, I was in the 2nd grade. I did not have Riz.
Very early on in life, sort of helps him in his creative career now with hip-hop. Following this, we have some chill jazz rap vibes and great vocal chemistry between Mike and Still Rift on Almost Broke My Nucleus Accumbens, which, I am down for any song that will just randomly drop a Kurt Vonnegut reference. But a track that hit even harder for me in this track list was Okay But I'm the Phone Screen, which is just this riveting retelling of Mike having his phone run over, destroyed, and just mourning all of the reflections of his life that were held in that phone, lost forever, not backed up on the cloud. And we're talking not just personal stuff, but rhymes and demo ideas and so on and so forth. And it's creative, the comparisons he draws to losing all of this material, like Dead Sea Scrolls, and what he says is a time where apparently RZA had his basement flooded.
Don't tell me you don't know about that.
But then he goes,
don't tell me you don't know about the basement flood, Anthony. You gotta know. That's foundational Wu-Tang lore. You gotta know about the flood.
Goes on to say, yeah, it's like that, but less devastating. I mean, nobody is writing like this. It's just funny how Open Mike Eagle can really just drill down into a topic and be so serious and yet unserious at the same time. Michigan J. Wonder is another very smart cut where...
You know what's really funny, too? That heretofore, to this moment, and I bet now that I say this, somebody's going to chime in with the correct answer, or maybe they had it the whole time and just I haven't seen it. But I have not seen anyone put together why that song is called Michigan J. Wonder. Matter of fact, I'll just say that right now, that there is a reason, and see if anybody has the reason. And maybe later when we get to the Discord theories, I'll explain the title Michigan J. Wonder. I told somebody on tour and it blew their mind.
Mike describes much of what he spends his solitude doing, the way he occupies those very lonely moments, being creative. Meanwhile, Relentless Hands feels like an analysis of just his current day state as an artist. The way the chorus works feels almost like a description of how one might feel needing
Lexapro, that's half of
things like replayability during the algorithm age, during the streaming age. Deeper into the track, Mike describes things like rapper apathy and self-doubt getting in his way and needing to fight past all of that.
There was a particular rapper's apathy I was talking about in that song, and I won't name that person. It was another little very, very real nugget of truth that came to that particular beat.
And again, despite this track sounding as low-key as many others on the record, it's still pretty moving and motivational. My coworker Clark Kent's Secret Black Box is even more creative and conceptual, though. I would say this track also falls in line much more with the television show concept that he's got going on here slightly, as he describes having to work with Clark Kent, or this Clark Kent type character. And Mike is exploring a bit of jealousy on this one, being in close quarters with somebody who is just off-putting to you when you don't trust, and there's just something you can't quite put your finger on that is weird about him. And
makes me think about Ween. I can't put my finger on it.
And you just sort of see something about him that other people don't, despite the fact that to anybody sort of like looking at this guy on the surface level, he's getting his work done and he's really exemplary and doing what he has to do. So look, this is one of among many very solid cuts on this record. I could pick out a fair amount of songs on here that I think are impressive by Mike's usual standards, from the opener to the closer, but I still do think this project overall is lacking a little bit in terms of consistency.
My album made his neck itch a little bit. You see that? He was talking about my album and his neck started to itch a little bit. I'm gonna put that on the bio for my next one. Or I put it in the press release. My last release made Anthony Fantano's neck itch.
And follow through. There are some songs that personally I find build a little bit of a lull into the album, considering just how low-key and understated the entire project sounds. Some of the worst offenders being A Dream of the Midnight Baby, as well as
I know that song is a lot. Look, I know the Midnight Baby song is a lot. I do. And I'll tell you this. Sometimes I'm afraid of my own music. And there is no song I've been more afraid of than that damn Midnight Baby song. But it's real. And it's a very important part of the story of the album, that is not assisted by the fact that I'm not being clear about what the story of the album is. It was risky and it was dangerous, but it needed to be there. And one day, if I'm able to make the TV film version, you will see how important the Midnight Baby is.
Sorry I Got Huge. I do understand how that song, especially vocally, sounding as quiet as it does, plays into the concept.
Yes, it's definitely that was a form decision based on the content
of the track, the message Mike is trying to communicate there, but the end result, kind of approaching the performance that way, just kind of creates an unlistenable song that
it's not unlistenable
to engage with. It's like he kind of
I listen to it all the time.
Performance arted the track into something less interesting than it could have been. Some tracks,
I disagree.
Like Contraband that I mentioned earlier, while I do love the meaning of this track and what it's trying to get across, the fizzled out ending and very one note
fizzled out
production and vocal performance leaves the song just sounding less interesting than it actually is. And while I do appreciate
sounds less interesting than it I'm not even sure that makes sense as a statement. It sounds less interesting than it actually is. I'm gonna have to chew on that one too. Something sounds structurally wrong with that as a sentence. Because if it's interesting, then it's interesting, right? I guess.
Appreciate on some level the more DIY edge Mike is trying to give some of his more recent projects. Sometimes it does lead to songs that just come across a little too half-baked or even demo quality. So yeah, it's not that
not half-baked or demo quality at all. Now, I think what he's referring to actually, oh, look at this is a bad freeze frame for him, and I'm sorry, Anthony, that I froze you like this. But I worked with a bunch of different producers on this album, and they all have different styles of how they construct their beats. And I think and different levels of post-production that they do on their beats as well. Gosh, I don't know if I would say that some of them construct beats in a more minimalistic way, and I think that's probably pretty clear. And I preserved that in the final versions of the songs because I felt like I liked the vibe of that. So I think those are all intentional choices, and I think that, like the Child Actors, for instance, I think those are more sparse. The K-Nights, the August Phenon, the Kenny Seagulls are more lush. That sometimes reflects choices in post-production by the producers, and sometimes that just is a reflection of literally how the beat is put together. Where some of them just are going to sound more polished than others, but I feel like that's part of what makes the project interesting.
This album isn't good. It most certainly is. I just think there are aspects of it that could have been built out, improved, advanced in some sort of way.
What sort of way?
But regardless, Open Mike Eagle still continues to be one of the most unique rappers out there today.
That's nice of him to
unparalleled
say.
As a wordsmith, as a humorist too, which is why I'm feeling a light 2, decent 7 on.
I thought he was going to say a light 2. I was like, Jesus. It's the Midnight Baby headband.
This record. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next?
He's sideways,
Hit
like the title on my
please subscribe
album.
and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Open Mike Eagle, forever.
Yep.
Ha ha ha.
Oh, well,
Hi everyone. Hi.
That was that little robot was sort of unsettling. Sorts of unsettling. Well, that was his review, and it's his opinion, and that's fine with me. Like I said, I appreciate him reviewing it, especially because I don't know if we're still friends. Actually, now I'm gonna text him and be like, "What you mean? What you mean, Anthony? What you mean half baked? What you mean unlistenable? What you mean? I guess." That's what I should do. I should just text him, "I guess." Oh, that would tickle me. That would tickle me. But shout out to him though. I appreciate him listening to the album and sharing his thoughts about it on his obviously enormous platform. So much appreciated for that, even if I don't agree with everything in it. That is fine as well. Like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.